Hello, I'm Sky Matsuhashi, founder of SmartPokerStudy.com, the place for poker players who are always striving to be better today than they were yesterday. Poker people, in episode 120, I discussed the all-important topic of blind versus blind situations. We can all improve here, so please give that episode a listen. Hey, poker people, happy Friday to ya. I hope you've got a killer weekend planned, as we only get 52 of these every year, so you don't want to squander them. For me, having dinner with the family Saturday, gonna work on my upcoming webinar, I'm gonna start next week's podcast, maybe do an hour per day on Saturday and Sunday, and most importantly, I'm actually gonna start a new project with my sons. They're ages 7 and 9, so it'll be a challenge, but it should be fun. We're actually gonna build a patio cover in the backyard, and it came delivered directly to our house from Costco last week, and you cannot beat that. Don't have to go down, brave the crowds, take that 300-pound beast and put it in the car. None like that. They deliver it directly to the house. It's a really nice hardtop galvanized steel unit, and it should last us a long time. Hopefully, we'll get started by 9 a.m. Sunday, finish by 4 or 5 p.m., and have dinner in that puppy in some lovely Fresno winter weather. Alrighty, so enough of that jazz. Let's get to some poker goals. For a quick overview of today's episode, I will discuss why I make poker goals and what drives me forward in my poker journey. I'll also talk about what it takes to make a goal SMART as opposed to a lost cause. And just for you note takers, SMART is an acronym which stands for Specific, Measurable, Achievable, Relevant, and Time-Bound. And I'll get to each of those within the podcast here. And next, I'll talk about my own poker goals for 2017. And this year, they do not involve monetary goals. And I'll tell you why. And finally, we'll wrap this puppy up with a list of goals that you can take on for yourself, some example SMART poker goals. And as a podcast bonus today, you can get my SMART Goals PDF, and it will help you set your own SMART goals. Just visit the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod121. Go ahead and enter your email at the top of the page right there. And by doing this, you also sign up for the weekly boost for exclusive strategy and special deals sent directly to your inbox. And once again, you can find the show notes page and the SMART Goals PDF at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod121. Okay, let's talk some goals.
And now for our feature presentation.
Alrighty, so I talked about SMART goals way back in episode 2, and some of today's episode is going to repeat that a little bit. But really, it never hurts to be exposed to good ideas twice, or even 3 or 4 times. So please continue listening, even though you might have listened to episode 2 before. And I've got to say, regarding goals and goal setting, I love goal setting. They give me something to shoot for. It's kind of a target to put all my effort towards in order to move the needle forward. And that's why I make goals. Basically, it gives me direction in my life. It gives me something to shoot for. I have goals for poker, as a husband, as a father, and as an entrepreneur. But getting specifically to poker, of course, because that's why you're all here. I really enjoy all aspects of my poker path through life right now. I'm a poker coach, podcaster, video maker, entrepreneur, and of course, a poker player. And the goals that I set, they help me to become better in each of these aspects, Ultimately, I want to make my career and my living centered around poker. Everything I do is geared towards getting my product and my thoughts and my coaching and my ideas, getting it all out there for the world to see. And hopefully I'll be making a comfortable living for myself and my family as I do so. And what I would like you to do before you set your own SMART poker goals is to figure out your own why. Why are you a player? Why do you love this game? What do you want out of poker? The goals that you set, they really should be dependent upon where you want your poker journey to take you. So there are 5 characteristics of SMART goals. I mentioned them already, but I'll say it again because SMART is an acronym for Specific, Measurable, Achievable, Relevant, and Time-Bound. Without these 5 aspects in place, a goal is really just a random pie-in-the-sky dream. It's like saying your goal is to win the main event one day. That's not necessarily a goal, it's just a dream. A better SMART goal would be something like this. I will play in the $10,000 main event in 2018 by saving $560 per month starting February 2017. Alrighty, so let's go over the SMART acronym with that main event goal in mind. So first off, SMART specific, or the first letter in SMART is specific. Goals must be written clearly and simply, and they define exactly what you intend to accomplish. So let me say that main event goal again. I will play in the $10,000 main event in 2018 by saving $560 per month starting February of 2017. So obviously, this is a very specific goal. It details exactly what year you will play and the exact event. You shouldn't include winning the event, as that's really just a hope or a dream, like I said, and you can't control the outcome of a tournament. But playing the tournament is the first step to winning the sucker, so as long as you play, that dream's still alive. So that was specific. Next up is measurable, and goals must be measurable. Without measurements, you can't really know that you've achieved them. And a very important aspect of this is that measurable goals allow you to break it up into milestones to make the pursuit more possible. So with this main event goal, you know exactly how much money you have to save per month for 18 months to have that $10,000. And this can even be broken down to like weekly savings if you want to do something like that. And because it's measurable, as the months pass, you know exactly how close you are to achieving your goal. As that big old stash, that huge envelope under your bed, it begins to grow, maybe making for an uncomfortable Princess and the Pea situation. But it's worth it for the main event, let me tell you. So that was specific, then measurable, now achievable. Goals must be achievable and not impossible. They should stretch you and force you to work hard, but it can't be so obviously out of reach that you were doomed from the get-go. You need to have the knowledge, the skills, or the abilities to achieve the goal, or you have to be able to plan how you're going to possess those things. And ultimately, achievable goals should be a motivation, because impossible goals, they really are demotivators. And this main event goal is totally achievable. It all depends on your income, or your ability to cut your expenses, or the ability to withdraw from your bankroll, or even your ability to make some extra money on the side with a side hustle, side job, selling crap on eBay. Whatever it is, you've got to find a way to save that money per month. Okay, so that was achievable. Next up after achievable is relevant. Your goal needs to matter to you and to those around you. If your goal is to make millions of dollars playing tournaments, then striving to play in the main event, that's kind of a no-brainer. That's one of the biggest tournaments every year. But if you're a cash game player, you would be better off skipping the main event and targeting something else. Or you could make a goal of going to Las Vegas during the main event and playing in all those cash games, because once players get busted out of the main, they're hungry for that, they're still itching to gamble. So they're going to be at the cash game tables. And that's where you can make your millions every year. So, also, along with that, if your wife or husband is always complaining about your poker trips and maybe your tournament losses, then heading to the main event might not be the best idea, Maybe make a goal of strengthening that relationship or turning them into a poker player. Those would be better for your sanity and for your poker future, of course. Okay, so that's relevant. The last letter in SMART is T, and that stands for time bound, and there must be a time frame for your goals. One thing that I know from experience is that any task expands to fit the time allotted to it. So a goal without an end date could take years to attain. Deadlines add a sense of urgency, and also having no time frame, it's just one less incentive for you to achieve your goal. So for that main event goal, saving monthly for 18 months, it'll put us just over $10,000 by July of 2018, just in time to play in the main. Lovely. So to recap real quick, the SMART acronym, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. I just said SMART. I remember an old Simpsons episode, Homer, he did something smart or whatever, and he goes, I am so smart. I am so smart. SMART is the funniest thing. Maybe I should find that and play it for you, actually. Alrighty, I'll be back in just a bit with my 3 poker goals for 2017.
Woohoo! I'm a college man! I won't need my high school diploma anymore! I am too smart! I am too smart! I am too smart! I am too smart! SMART!
My new webinar, Mashing the Micros, is just around the corner. Next Saturday, February 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific time is when it'll be held, and I'll be discussing all the micro stakes, no-limit hold'em strategies that I use to exploit my opponents. I also use it to get tons of value and to stay out of trouble. And a big hint, staying out of trouble basically is don't play out of position. So if you're a microstakes player at 25 NL or below, this is the training you need to improve your win rate and build that roll for shots at the higher stakes. Please visit the webinar sales page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/microswebinar, all one word, microswebinar. So go there for more information. The 1.5-hour live webinar will also include my new cash game pre-flop ranges that tells you the hands that I open with, I 3-bet with, I call raises, and I 4-bet with. And as a bonus for purchasing, you will get your choice of one of my previous webinar recordings. You can choose from expert hand reading, getting aggressive, opponent destruction, and rejamming like a boss. Just visit www.smartpokerstudy.com/microswebinar for all the details. Alrighty, back to goals. Here are my SMART goals for 2017. Number 1, I will study at least 1 hour per day, 6 days per week for the entire year. And this is kind of my sharpening the axe kind of goal. As I learn more, I can teach more, my podcasts and other content will be more informative, and my poker play will improve as well. And of course, the more poker skills I have, that'll translate to better results in every other aspect of my poker life. Goal number 2 of mine, I will publish 1 poker book every 4 months in 2017. 1 by April, 1 by August, and 1 by December. So this goal will force me to write more frequently and to produce content, which is what all the best poker content producers, coaches, video makers, authors, all those kinds of people, that's what they do. They produce that content. And goal number 3, I will coach 6 sessions per week beginning in March, April, and May. So I do want to coach more, and this goal will force me to offer my coaching services more often and will bring in more non-poker play income. And at the end of May, I'll then decide if 6 sessions per week is good enough or if I want to coach even more. And as you can see, there's no monetary goals this year. Last year, I started off with super high hopes and playing a ton of hands, playing a ton of hours, and making a lot of moolah. But with all my outside commitments, the podcast, making videos, coaching, family, all that stuff, the first thing I cut when my time is limited, the first thing that gets cut is poker play. Everything else, that's like the last on my list. Everything else is more important than that. Even studying is more important than playing for me. So really, last year it didn't work out so well. So this year I'm staying away from the monetary, actually staying away from the hands and hours played as well, and doing other things that'll still move the needle forward for myself. Alright, so of course you could do whatever you want for your own smart poker goals, but I have 5 goals here that I came up with. They're not necessarily my goals for the year, but I just came up with them, and you can pick and choose, you can edit them, you can make them however you want. This is just my way of giving you some examples to help you out with your own smart poker goals. So number 1, I will play 2 live tournaments at the local card room every month until I head to the WSOP. Number 2, I will post 1 hand per day in the forums and reply to 3 hands per day through February. Number 3, I will watch one of Split Suit's videos every day in February and March, taking detailed notes on each, and I will find 1 nugget of wisdom from each video to apply to that day's session. Goal number 4, I will begin my own weekly poker podcast by May of 2016 that will be called My Micro Stakes Mission, and it will detail my journey through the micros. And goal number 5, I will increase my multi-tabling abilities from 2 tables to 6 tables by systematically adding 1 table at a time until I feel comfortable and can win at my current rate. I will be up to 6 tables by May 31st. So those are some pretty good goals for you. If you take any one of those on for yourself, I would love that. But I would especially love it if you created your own poker podcast. Get out there and put your ideas out to the world, poker people. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Make your own smart poker goals for 2017, or even make them month to month. 1 or more, that's totally up to you. Please send me your goals so that I can see what you're up to and maybe help you along the way. Now it's your turn to take action and Scooby-Dooby-Doo something positive for your poker game.
Now get it on.
So to recap the episode, you learned how to make poker goals the smart way. And of course, smart was specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. You also learned my 3 poker goals. Number 1 was concerning daily study. Number 2 was about publishing 3 new books, in 2017. And number 3 was about increasing the time I devote to coaching every single week. You also heard some examples of smart poker goals that you could choose to set for yourself. And speaking of you, I gave you the challenge of creating your own goals and sending them to me. Let's see how many of you take me up on that challenge. And this episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod121. And of course, while you're there, you can get that Smart Goals PDF. Please do so. Notably urgent things to study. Alrighty, I mentioned this last episode, but real quick again, just in case anybody missed it, this is a new segment for every podcast. It's called The Nuts, which stands for Notably Urgent Things to Study. And The Nuts will give you 2 to 3 additional pieces of content that you can study from somewhere on the interwebs. So to continue your studies into goal setting and achieving your dreams and personal improvement, here are 2 things that I think you should study. Number 1 is a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And I actually discussed this way back in episode number 3. But having a singular focus on the thing that will move the needle the most, it'll really help you achieve your goals. Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, they lay out a great idea of finding that one thing every day, every hour even, that once you complete that one thing, it'll make everything else easier or unnecessary. So go to the show notes and purchase this book through the link there, please. That'll support the show. And number 2 is another book called Ready Player One. And this is a fictional book, but it blew me away the first time I read it, and it will blow you away as well. Plus, if you're an 80s fan like me, the 1980s, you'll get all nostalgic at the zillions of cool references within the books. References of video games, shows, movies, music, all that stuff. And this book is about a teenager, somewhere in the future, I'm not sure when exactly, but he lives in an awesome virtual world, and he has one goal in life, and he pursues that goal to the nth degree. It's not exactly about goal achievement, but it shows the power of devoting everything and every waking moment to one super rewarding goal. I highly recommend it, and you should definitely read it before that movie comes out, sometime next year. And hey, if you don't want to read it, you can always listen to it on Audible. It's available there. You can find links to the 2 nuts just mentioned in today's show notes.
That's a lot of nuts!
Thank you so much for listening today. I want your feedback, so hit me with it through the show notes or send an email to sky@smartpokerstudy.com, tweet it @smartpokerstudy, or post it in the Facebook group. And right in line with my goal of coaching more, I am available, poker people. Just hit me up via email and we can discuss how I can help you. Quick shout out today to Casey B. This guy is awesome. He purchased Poker Tracker 4 through my affiliate, and he received a copy of the Smart HUD for doing that. And he also sent me an email with a few questions. I answered his email thoroughly. Now he's on his way to being a poker microstakes master. So if you want to support the show just like Cool as a Cucumber Casey here, visit the show notes to learn how. And speaking of microstakes, I've got that Mashing the Micros webinar coming up soon. So please visit www.smartpokerstudy.com/micros webinar to learn more. Alrighty, poker people. Next week in episode number 122, I'll begin at minimum effective dose number 5, and that's about player types and tendencies. It will be a good one, so please check it out. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so I give you mucho gracio for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. So until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.